All right, so let's talk about how you actually build a modern database application. The best way to think about it is like building a house. You don't just show up with a pile of bricks and start stacking, right? No, you start with a really detailed blueprint and you build it piece by piece until you have this functional, living space. So let's dive in.
You know when you're online and you click Add to Cart, you change the quantity from 1 to 3, you check out, it all just works. It feels so simple. But behind that smooth, easy experience is this incredibly complex, perfectly designed structure. So how do we get from a pile of raw data to this beautiful working thing?
And this is where it gets really cool. Just look at the difference here. On the left, that's the plan. It's this complex web of tables and connections. It's like the plumbing, the wiring, the support beams of our building. But on the right, that's what you, the user, actually see. A clean, simple order form. The real magic is turning that complex plan into an experience that feels completely effortless.
Okay, so let's start where every single great project does, with the blueprint. This is without a doubt the most important phase. I mean, if you get the foundation wrong, the whole building's going to be wobbly, right? In the database world, we call this blueprint the schema.
So what is a schema? It's literally the architectural plan for our data. It spells everything out. The tables, those are like the rooms in our building. We need a room for customers, a room for products, a room for all the orders. The columns tell us what's supposed to go in each room. So the customer room has spots for a name, an address, an email. And the relationships? Well, those are the hallways and the doors connecting everything, making sure you can find your way from the customer room over to the order room.
So first things first, we start simple. We just block out the main areas. You can see here we've got a room for customer, one for product, invoice, and order. We're basically just saying, okay, our building needs these essential spaces, and then we list out what kind of information or, what furniture is going to live in each one.
Right, so we've got our rooms. But right now, they're just kind of floating there, totally isolated, pretty useless. So now we have to connect them. See all those lines crisscrossing between the boxes? Those are our hallways. They're what define how a product is linked to a supplier, or how an order is always tied to a customer. Without these connections, you just have a bunch of rooms you couldn't get between.
And this is where our blueprint can get really sophisticated. Sometimes, just having a generic person room isn't quite enough. A person could be an employee or a student, right? And an employee could be either faculty or staff. This diagram shows how we can create these specialized rooms that inherit all the basic stuff from a general one, but also add their own unique features. It's kind of like how a utility room in a house could be specialized into a laundry room or a workshop. Super clever. Okay, our blueprint is solid. The foundation is poured, the rooms are all framed out, the hallways are connecting everything. But a building isn't very useful if nobody can actually get inside. So now we need to build the doors, the windows, and the control panels for people to use.
And that's the big question, isn't it? This is what takes us from the back-end design, the hidden stuff, to the front-end experience that everyone sees. How do we turn this complicated structure into something a person can actually interact with?
Well, the answer is through forms. Think of this main switchboard as the grand lobby of our building. It's not where all the work gets done, but it gives you these clear, simple buttons to get you to the right department, whether you need to go to categories, suppliers, or products. This is your main entryway.
And some of those doors from the lobby lead to very specific rooms that only do one thing. This add/modify products form, it's like a delivery entrance at the back of the building. Its only job is to let you add one new product to the inventory. That's it. The user doesn't need to see the entire warehouse. They just need a clean, simple way to add a new box to the shelf.
And then you've got forms like this one. A tabular form is basically the employee directory you'd see in an office building lobby. It lets you see a whole list of records all at once, in this case employees, and you can scroll through them, make changes, or find exactly who you're looking for. It's all about getting that big picture overview and being efficient.
Now, not everything we want to store in our building is a simple piece of text, like a name or an address. Sometimes we run into these unique types of data, and we need to build specialized rooms just to handle them properly.
For instance, what about barcodes? I mean, look at them. They're a mix of lines, numbers, and sometimes even letters. We can't just cram that into a storage space designed for a standard number. We have to design a spot that actually understands this weird, unique format.
And here's the smart architectural choice we have to make. Because barcodes can have letters and symbols, we can't tell our database that this room is numbers only. So, the trick is to design it as a flexible text field. It's a small detail, but it's absolutely crucial. It ensures our storage can handle any kind of barcode we throw at it.
Okay, now for a really big one. Images. How should we store those? This slide lays out a classic design problem. Method 1 is to store the image file inside the database itself. Think of this like trying to hang a giant, super heavy painting directly on an internal wall of your house. Yeah, it's secure and it's always with the house, but it puts a huge strain on the structure. It makes the whole database slow and bloated. Method 2 is almost always the better way to go. You store the painting in a separate high-tech art storage facility, and in your house, you just keep a simple little note that says where to find it. This keeps your database lean, fast, and lets a totally separate system do the heavy lifting of dealing with images.
So we've got our rooms, we've got our user interfaces, but the real magic, the thing that makes an application feel truly smart, is showing how different rooms, or maybe even different floors of our building, are all connected.
And this is where something called a master detail form is just brilliant. It's a fantastic design for showing a one-to-many relationship. So imagine you're looking at one big master thing, like a whole department, and you instantly want to see all the detail things related to it, like, say, every single employee who works in that department. This form puts it all together for you on one screen.
And here it is in action. This is that aha moment. The blueprint on the left, it just shows an abstract line. One department can have many employees. Okay, great. But the form on the right, that's the reality for the user. They pick the research department at the top, that's the master, and boom, instantly, a list of every employee who works there appears below. Those are the details. It makes that abstract line on the blueprint feel real and totally intuitive. This is where great architecture becomes a great experience.
All right, we're almost there. We've designed the blueprint, we've built the interface, we've connected it all together. The final piece of this whole puzzle is to create a control center, a place where we can get that high-level, big-picture view of everything that's happening inside our building.
Now, in the database world, visualization can mean two totally different things. First, you can visualize the structure. That's like looking at the architectural blueprints again to understand how the building is put together. It's really for the engineers, the architects. But the second way, and this is where it gets exciting for everyone else, is visualizing the data inside. This is like watching the security monitors that show the flow of people, what's selling, what the inventory levels are. It's the actual life and activity happening within the building.
And this slide right here brings it all home. On the left, you've got the structure, that clean, logical, well-organized blueprint. It's essential, but it's static. It's just a plan. But because that structure is so well designed, it lets us create what you see on the right, the story. A dynamic dashboard of charts and graphs that tells us what's selling, who our best customers are, where the business is headed. The structure makes the story possible.
So there you have it, from a simple blueprint to a living, breathing application that can tell a really powerful story. That's the journey. It's all about building that solid foundation so you can ultimately unlock the incredible insights hidden inside. So I guess the only question left is, what's the story your data is waiting to tell? Thanks for tuning in.